Yes, I would love to reduce the property taxes of the elderly and the disabled. But let me tell you why I'm still voting against that amendment. In 2008, Paul Bencourt was Harris County's tax assessor. 2008, that was the year that Obama was running for election. Paul Bencourt, tax assessor, Harris County, he was also running for office. Well, he was running for re-election. And by the end of the election, it was discovered, and he was credibly accused by people even in his own party for tampering with the election. If you're old enough, if you remember back then, all the stuff that was on the news about Houston and Harris County, that's the motherfucker they were talking about during the election. Okay? Now, the election's over. Again, credibly accused by his own people for tampering with voter registrations and also basically hiding provisional ballots. Allegedly. Also in his office were two other Republican operatives. The man that Paul had working on voter registration was a business owner. He owned a marketing company for Republican candidates. In fact, I think about 12 of his clients were on the ballot in Harris County, okay? And they were walking around with this business product, letting the Republicans know in Texas and Harris County, hey, I got you. We got all the data that you fucking need, okay? So that's that part. Election happens, tampering with elections happen. Paul Bencourt is credibly accused. He also wins his re-election. That's in November. In December, after the Democratic Party, finds all this stuff out, Paul Bencourt steps down. A month after he won his re-election, he stepped down. He resigned because of business opportunities. Imagine that. He went on to run for a Senate seat. Years later, he won it. Since then, Paul has been writing tax laws to gut local funding. He's also the brainmaster behind the whole protest your taxes game. Look up his business. It's called Bencourt Professionals Tax. I don't know, something like that. Bencourt Taxes. Look it up. Now we have a whole industry here in Texas. I guarantee you, if we look it up, it will have started here in Harris County with Paul Bencourt. He provides business services. There's commercials all over the internet now, and probably TV too. They're telling you protest your taxes. I've seen it on TikTok. Protest your taxes. Protest your taxes. And what happens is they get a lawyer, Paul Bencourt, or his services. They get a lawyer, or they talk to Paul Bencourt's offices, and they sue the county and the city. Now what's happening is it's happening so often now that the city and the county cannot fight it. So the homeowner, which is us, we're like, oh, well, great. We have, I get to pay less in taxes. Great, right? First of all, that motherfucker just made an entire business model off of fucking your community out of your services. But you need to understand that the city and the county cannot afford to pay for the legal services to combat everyone's goddamn taxes. They can't do it. What he's not doing, Paul Bencourt, the other thing that Paul Bencourt is doing is he's writing laws right now to remove the flood district from Harris County. He's also the person writing all of the election laws to dilute the vote. I need you to connect the dots on who this is. I need you to understand that he wants absolutely nothing good for any of us. Y'all get that, right? So when you tell me that you want the elderly and the disabled to have lower taxes, I want you to understand who wants you to have lower taxes and why. Because they can create other scenarios for property taxes to be lower that don't defund your community. These don't need to be permanent amendments, and all this doesn't have to be happening at the same time. And I need you to understand what's going on. They are trying to defund local communities in multiple states for a reason, because once you are no longer paying property taxes, you no longer need an elected official. If you no longer need an elected official, then all the decisions are going to be made in the state, and they cannot gerrymander your city or your county. So the best thing for them to do is take all the control back to the state where they can gerrymander. I need everybody to catch the fuck up. I don't have time to be nice. I don't have time to walk you through everything. This is what the fuck is happening. There are 4 Substack articles in the link in my bio. There's videos on my TikTok. There's a strategy there trying to defund our communities for a reason, so they can eliminate any control that we can have for anything. Catch up. Please catch up. We need to be demanding other revenue sources, not voting to approve the elimination of potential revenue sources. That's what we're doing. Getting tax exemptions at the same time that we are also preventing other revenue sources. Pretty soon, all we're going to be able to do is have much higher sales taxes on everything. And again, that benefits the wealthy. They win. Their taxes are all through like capital gains, land, like those are their taxes. Transfer tax, estate tax, those are where their big taxes come from. That is what Epstein was doing for the billionaires. He was helping them skirt taxes. It's a lot going on, but I need you to understand. This man wants nothing good for you. He wants nothing good for Texans. Don't ask me why. I don't understand crazy white man shit. I don't. He doesn't want anything good for us. Stop. Go look it up. He has written every single goddamn tax exemption law on this fucking ballot. And go back and look at the election laws. You will find his name. Look it up. He's the fucking devil. And then I forgot. So, the people that are 65 plus now that are going to get this tax exemption, in 2 decades, 3 decades, whatever, we know that the young people cannot afford to buy houses. We talk about it all the time, right? They cannot afford, wages haven't met the cost of living, right? Who's going to be the tax base? Because eventually everyone, if they are lucky enough to live long enough, they will eventually be the 65 plus. And then in 2 years, Paul's going to present another amendment for us to cut another $100,000 off of the property taxes for 65 plus. And it's going to keep going and going and going and going. And then what? And then what? And then what? Please. We have to stop, reject all the amendments. Read the substacks in the link in my bio. Please. It is a strategy. Things are happening. We have to reject all the amendments. Vote against everything.